Today is Thursday, April the 9th, 2026. I'm here to share with myself right now, actually. I'm here to take a moment for myself. Behind Barnway at the 4:35 p.m. hour. The sun shining bright, still pretty chilly out here today in central North Carolina. I'm taking a moment to ponder in thought. Pondering in thought can get us into trouble, like we can ponder in thought and like that can carry us away on adventures that we really ultimately we're like, oh man, I wish I didn't take that path, but we don't often think of our life in such ways as taking the wrong path in our mind. I want to share this week of my life and how I felt very much so led, compassed, directed, all with unknowing and yet also unknowing awareness that heaven, God himself sitting in the pilot seat of my metaphorical fairy tale adventure plane in the parallel skies. These are the moments I've come to learn in my life when heaven does take over. And when I say heaven, I do mean God, Jesus, and spirit of angels. To me, spirit and angels, to me, are the same. God, Jesus, and spirit. I can't share it all, and yet this week alone, I was asked to drop off taxes. And yet I also asked at that time, well, can't I just put like 9 stamps on it and put it in the mailbox? And I was told, yes, you can. And yet you could also just drop it off. It's right up the road. Usually in my life, I would take that first route, the one I said, can't I just put 9 stamps on it? And ultimately, I ended up, even at that moment, putting the taxes right into my truck that night. And the following day, I went out and I wasn't even planning on dropping these taxes off, really. And yet when I got to the mailbox, I was like, oh man, I didn't put stamps on them. These are the ways heaven does work. So I found myself driving. I stopped, wherever I needed, the post office and the local Carlisi grocery store. And then I found myself driving to go drop off these taxes. And as I turned onto, the final road to where I was dropping off the taxes, I was very much so, whoa, there's a cemetery. I see cemeteries everywhere. Who doesn't? They're everywhere. They are everywhere. I clean headstones. I've cleaned a lot of headstones. So you would perceive that one like me would always be on the lookout for cemeteries. That's not the way it works with me. I'm drawn. I follow the lead. I follow my soul when I'm compassed by heaven in such ways. So no, this was unusual. Or rather, yes, this was unusual. I am unusual. Natalie, as a person, I just said no when most people say yes. I get that. I didn't get that most of my life. And so now I further understand. So I see this cemetery, I stop. I'm bewildered. Oh God, there's all these headstones broken. They're so old, all decrepit. Other than being mowed, this was a lot of lost souls is what I felt. Not misplaced souls, not forgotten souls. We're all forgotten, to be honest. And you don't need a cemetery to remember someone. And yet our burial site is to me, a sacred place. And I was most disturbed to see this cemetery in such a condition. I had also been bewildered at that moment because it was the day prior that I just put all of my cemetery headstone cleaning supplies back in my truck. We moved from Florida, where I cleaned over 900 headstones in about 3 years, to North Carolina 3 years ago. And in the past 3 years, I had only cleaned like 5-7 headstones. My whole life shifted and altered, and that's what life is. No complaints here. I'm not complaining. This is not a crying story. I've done my crying. Okay, so today, I have to remind myself these videos are for me. When I share them, I choose to share them because I don't fear what I say, and I am unedited and unscripted, and I do video myself a lot. It's not because I'm a lonely person and I'm the lone shepherd and I'm alone and I have no one to talk to. No, I'm grateful to have this life of solitude so that I can talk to myself, and I can, as I have since landing into this life of heaven on earth, my little hobby farm life, even amidst the shaman drudgery that surrounds me and has surrounded me during this transition of my life. It's been a most beautiful journey to be on the other side of life. I continue to redefine life, go away from such words as, manifest and, okay, I don't even want to go there. Why am I even bringing up that stuff? This is not what this is about. Natalie. See, I do talk to myself. And this doesn't make me schizophrenic. This doesn't make me mentally ill. The reality is we all do it inside our heads. Maybe not that whole percentage of people that does it inside our heads, which is all of us. Maybe not everybody does it out loud. I always have. My mom said that when I was able to talk, I don't know, 3, 4 years old, she said she'd have to turn around and be like, Natalie, I don't even know what you're saying. Please stop talking. So I was born to talk out loud, and I delight in it now because there is nobody here when you do live a life of solitude to shame me and say such things like, what do you do with talking out loud? And yet that's a whole other story, because that also became part of this journey too. Whole other story. So I cleaned the headstone today. Heaven had me the day before Sister Sandy died, before I fell, before an injury or an accident could have happened, before the Good Shepherd could have been seriously hurt. Heaven led me to discover that this bridge was broken. And there I went on this other journey that Heaven had me discover. Natalie, you're going to need these. I didn't think that way then. Now, 2-3 days later, it makes sense to me. And I go, aha, I understand now why I started tossing up rocks as I'm cleaning the creek and creating what I call the Beaver Hill Cemetery rock pile. I line all of my graves with rocks. And that's always been a journey, because I have to go down and collect, usually about 30 or so rocks. And it's beautiful. I have something in my eye too. I'm not crying or anything like that, but I literally have something in my eye. It is beautiful the ways that Heaven works. The ways I perceive it. And I don't believe it's perceiving. And that's the bewildering part of it, is that we do live a life of learned perception. Perception is key. Perception is all. First impressions, that sort of thing. And yet when I begin to find myself on the other side and realizing the reason I'm able to now comprehend and understand life more is because I'm not bombarded with it. I'm not there with all these commitments to, I'm a new mom, I should be going to these play groups. And, I should be volunteering at the school, and I should be doing, I went through all those venues, and I did do it all that, I personally felt I should do in those moments of my life, stages and phases. Where I'm at now is truly beautiful, and yet it's also most soulfully distressing, because it's not that I've finally found my peace. I have great peace, and yet that peace is not exactly reciprocated and embraced and received and understood. And then it ricochets back to me that, Natalie has some sort of mental illness. Listen, Heaven did not create the role of becoming the Good Shepherd, Natalie, without great thought. God. Heaven is mysterious. And I learned a long time ago in my life that anything unusual or unexpected that captures our attentions is heaven delivering a message to life. And what I further began to discover is that heaven absolutely utilizes life, such persons in life, not just Natalie, everyone. And yet who among everyone learns to, yearns to, or even does become aware of the ways that heaven taps into our beings and has things happen? Not like a magic wand. Some call it fate. I call it blueprinted, born that way, things like that. It is real. And I'm most beyond beautifully amazed at the ways heaven this week led me to clean a headstone today after burying 2 graves, getting the Jesus rocks to surround them, beginning to fix the bridge, as well as beginning to clear out the debris in this portion of our creek on the farm, which led me to then discover these rocks that would ultimately become what I just now became aware of this afternoon. And that is that I did just bury 2 of my battery hens. And we rescued 1 year ago, this week, 12 battery hens. Hens that for their first year and a half of life were pumped full of hormones, kept in horrific conditions, crammed into cages. Their beaks were cut so they wouldn't kill each other because they were so crammed up, put into moments of darkness, put into moments of constant faux vitamin D lighting to mass produce eggs. So when we brought them home a year ago, we weren't guaranteed a week, if not a night with them. And they had no feathers. They looked terrible. These are the most joyful, most happiest, most vocal, happily singing birds, hens, I've ever known. And at this afternoon hour, it all began to, the pieces of my puzzle from this past week come together. And I could begin to see, without seeing, the vision that heaven had been planting those seeds along the ways this week in my life. And it's never just for me. Heaven does want us to share what we experience in life in such ways, because how else are we supposed to even begin to venture outside that box of the universal way of learned living? We do need others who are unusual and unexpected. We can call them what we want, eccentric, bizarre. It is hurtful to be called crazy, I'll tell you that much. There's no way that a crazy person could, hold down a farm of over 50 animals that remain healthy and happy and beautifully fairy tale-like every single day. I don't need to prove that. I share it. I now know today that my farm is going to be hit very hard. And it is going to be, as I sing every day, good morning to my flock, the ants go marching one by one, like as they come out of their coops. Well, it's going to be one by one that my battery hens are going to all die in a cluster together. 12 hens in a flock of now 38 is going to hit us hard. I'm definitely filled with a peace and knowing that the sadness will be a peaceful sadness. And I'm grateful that heaven has me now be aware it is going to happen all at once. Not all 12 in one day, all 10 left in one day. These ladies endured a big life, and they're going to leave this life together. They are in it, not till the end. They're in it for all eternity. That's what real love is. And that's what these battery hens for the past year have been sharing with me. Natalie, the Good Shepherd, is what real love is amongst a flock of birds. And that's that. I'm done sharing. I'm done, Natalie. I know it's crazy sounding. I know it's crazy. And these are ways I continue to redirect myself into further embracing and accepting myself, because I know I'm not crazy, you know? And yet when you're told that by certain others that do affect you, to hear it from certain others, you're like, oh man, like, what? What can't you see? Crazy is as crazy does. And I'm not here to excuse myself, beg for forgiveness or pardon of myself for whatever I share in life, because I am at a space and place and moment of longevity now, many years in my life. It's not that I'm a free spirit. Free spirit? That's when I was like 16, all right? I'm not a free spirit, and I'm not a free soul. I'm a everlasting soul who is ever embracing of all of life. It's not all about angels. It's not all about God or Jesus either. It is all about heaven being real, and heaven wanting life to embrace that heaven is real on earth as well. We are all meant to go along our own journeys, and it is a beautiful time when you realize that you have crossed over to the other side. And it's not the other side that people, the universe of life, refers to being heaven. You've crossed over. Heaven wants us to cross over in life too. Cross over that fence, metaphorically, and blessedly so for me, literally as well.